everyone. Welcome to this session, ESG, how businesses are tackling global challenges. I'm Li Zengxin, Deputy Manager of Caixin Media. So the term ESG, environment, social, and governance appeared as early as in 2004, and now as a well-known concept. The world's leading investment managers say 1/3 of their assets, or $35 trillion, are thin with ESG perspective. But in the meantime, it's not without controversies from the concept itself and practical issues. As the journal Economist suggests, maybe we should focus on one of the three letters. The other keywords here are, global challenges. We've seen plenty of them today. How business could deal with them, help tackle them through ESG. So today, we have the best speakers to try to answer these questions. They are Ms. Ma Qing, Executive Vice President, Head of People and Organization, Sustainability Lead, Siemens Greater China. Welcome. So Qing joined Siemens in 1997 and has been Executive Vice President and People and Organization Development Director since 2010. Since last year, she was also lead of sustainability, responsible for facilitating the implementation of Siemens Global Sustainability Framework, DEGREE, in China. DEGREE stands for decarbonization, ethics, governance, resource efficiency, equality, and employability. And then Professor Chen Long is Alibaba's strategy planning President and Sustainability Steering Committee Chair. Welcome. So he is responsible for Alibaba's future strategy development, as well as ESG strategy and operations. On the academic side, he currently serves as the president of Luohan Academy, the open research platform initiated by Alibaba, and the host of world-class social scientists, including 7 Nobel Prize laureates. So welcome to you both. So without further ado, we just jump into the discussion. The first question is to both of you. In your view, why we need ESG? What are the key elements of ESG and how ESG could help? Maybe we start with Qing.
Thank you, Mr. Li. Very good question. Well, I mean, the latest event or incident give us quite a lot of call for action or reminders how ESG is becoming really a pressing topic, because we need to really think deeply how we safeguard the planet, the only planet that we are living. I think the pandemic and also the recent extreme weather in Sichuan, we all see how that impacts our life and the society as a whole. So I think it's really the time to make ESG or sustainability even more important for the well-being of the society and also the continuity and resilience of the businesses. And that's even ESG is not something new. Previously, it is more, many companies focus more on the compliance requirements, but now it has been accelerated and really getting increasingly integrated into business. The question is how we can really help, as what you are also addressing. In Siemens, sustainability is a topic that guided by you nicely already described the DEGREE framework, which really brought the ESG commitment to the next level. So the six character, with also very, very dedicated KPIs in decarbonization, ethic, governance, resources, efficiency, and equity and employability. So ESG will help us really, generate long-lasting value for the company, and taking the environment as example, the big E as example. In Siemens, we focus really decarbonization and resources efficiency. Last year, 2020, you all know that industry sector in China only contributed 36% of total CO2 emissions. And we, of course, as the leading industry companies, we want to be the role model with our own commitment to be the net zero in operations by 2030, and also in supply chain by 2050. And of course, at the same time, we support many industry customers and our partners on their carbon neutrality, journey via our holistic portfolios and industry know-how. So we really want to take take our technology roadmaps to implementation to a full life cycle, full life green transformations.
Yeah, great. So we could talk about Siemens specifically more later, but Professor Chen.
Yes, I think we all agree that climate change and inequality are two of the top challenges globally. So companies, especially technology companies, should try to alleviate rather than enhance this kind of challenges. I think the nature of ESG is to value a company from the stakeholders' point of view. So it really weights the contribution of company from all stakeholders, and because these are the key challenges, then they become the yardstick for how valuable a company is. So what is great about ESG is that we have now established a set of principles and standards to measure the company's contributions to the environment, to alleviate social challenges and its own governance. And they are increasingly becoming from voluntary to obligatory. And so that's the nature of this. And nowadays, and the reason why for public companies, in addition to their the financial report, they need to have ESG report that really states how important it is for companies. Nowadays, companies, it's not just that they have to perform well financially. Equally important, they have to perform well on their contribution to environment, to social challenges, and their own governance. I think so that without the corporation's contribution, there's no hope that those challenges can be elevated at the scale. So I think, and it's out of the obligation, out of their responsibility, they should do this.
Yeah. So both speakers say that there are the challenges, and ESG is the only way out. So my next question is on fighting climate change. As you said, most of the countries right now, they have their own strategies, their blueprint, their plans, regulations, tools to reduce carbon footprint since the Paris Agreement. China has this carbon peak and carbon neutral goals in 2030 and 60. So how can businesses adjust to deal with this? Like standards, Professor Chen just said, codes, rules, what are the opportunities and risks for them? Qing again, maybe?
Lady first, this is the rule we apply now. Well, I think speaking for the Paris Agreement or any of the climate actions, I think it definitely further accelerates our green transformation. I think from actually three perspectives. One is the energy supply side, how we can really use more clean energy and non-fossil energy. The second is the energy demand side. So what is how we really electrificate, or electrification used to be boosted in both manufacturing and daily life. Secondly, industry transformation from high energy consumption to more and emissions to more lower consumption emissions, or even use more cleaner energies. Then the third perspective is really make the supply and demand side connected. So the connectivity between the supply and demand. So it is all about smart energy management and electrification, electricity market transition. So if company are not adapting to this change, or not adapting to, from the own operations, but also your business models to this transition, I think it will be a great risk in the future. So, well, not even talk about all the opportunities, growth opportunities raised from this with these challenges, which will become really company competitive advantage if above leverage and capture the opportunity that we can. Always the question is how, right? So, I just want to, echo what recently our CEO, Siemens China CEO, Dr. Xiao, used a very short Chinese expression. I don't even know how to, whether, right English expression, we call it 一点一杠双循环. So actually it's take industrial decarbonization as the pivot. So 产业低碳化. So start with the area that with the highest return on investment, and then extend to the entire value chain, entire life cycle. So it can be a green product designs or a low carbon supply chains, for example. And the second one is the take low carbon industrialization as a lever. So we call it 低碳产业化. So use our own technology and experiences to empower ecosystem partners so that we can go together green. So that is our zero carbon pioneer initiative is all about. The last one is the gang. So双循环 is the decarbonization and digitalization as the dual drivers of the whole development. In Siemens, we use, probably know it, digital twin makes it possible to reduce carbon footprint along the full life cycle, starting with the design phase. Then we call it industry metaverse. So through the data and analytics, digital twin enables energy savings and efficient improvements.
Great. So like you said, smart energy management, market mechanism, low carbon decarbonization in the industries. Those are the great. And also, as you said, there will be risks if you are not complying on these new standards. Professor Chen, please, the same question.
Yeah, I think there are three pillars for companies to rely on to do ESG well. The first one is to prioritize social responsibilities. Well, there are many challenges, and so not obviously a company cannot do everything well. So it really has to prioritize what are the social responsibilities it has to address. So that's the first. The second pillar is the technological innovation. And without technology, it cannot solve problems efficiently. So that is equally important. But finally, it's also important is that we call it a stakeholder ecosystem, or we can call this market mechanism. And because unless you prioritize social responsibility as an important mission, because only you fully leverage on the technological innovation and you engage all stakeholders, otherwise it's impossible to solve the social challenges in a systematic and scalable way. So I think that's the first what business can do, to rely on three pillars. And we also, at Alibaba, we're also trying to advocate a so-called 5-step approach from a strategy point of view. The first is, just as I mentioned, is to position and to target. And so you're going to have to set up your ESG goals based on your engagement with the stakeholders. You understand what the society needs. The second is to integrate ESG into your business design. ESG is not additional burden. ESG is not that you do charity work. ESG is your own main business. Okay, it has to integrate that into this. ESG is the CEO mission. Now that's the second part. The third then is to promote coordinated transformation of the related business ecosystems. It's not only yourself, you have to work with your partners, your value chains, do everything you can. The fourth is to amplify impact through the technology. And this we especially have a sense as a platform company to amplify impact through platforms. And finally, we also advocate to promote charity for sustainability. Well, charity can do a lot of things, but one thing in this age, you can actually channel this into as part of the work to promote sustainability beyond just business. So all those 5 steps together, we think can help companies to position themselves to do well.
Yeah, great. So just like Professor Chen said, there are not only businesses, but also governments, investors, individuals. So how all these stakeholders say like prepare, adapt, and develop, develop for the changes. For example, how to apply ESG to form corporate strategies, investment decisions, portfolio build up, and monitor risks. How? So, Qing again, maybe.
Well, I fully agree what Mr. Chen Long mentioned, that it's not just one company, it's an entire society, and also in the business, it's also about how you really mobilize your business ecosystem. But speaking from the whole mechanism or the systematics, and I think government firstly has also quite a lot of roles to play. The China, as I said before, that China contributes about 30% of global carbon emissions, and it's still growing annual emission rate. So and we have very challenging goals that the government set to realize 30-60 goals. So we have also witnessed the many challenges in the last 2 years. But we also see how the government is really taking active role and move actively and release a series of policies and drive decarbonization forward. So from this direction, I think as a company in the business, we are also looking forward to have more guidance, more collective measures, and together with government and together with our ecosystems, and as Siemens in our industry space, we also take our know-how and innovation technology support decarbonization goals. That's more for the government perspective, but also for the companies, everyone, including us Siemens. I think we need to build sustainability as a core in the structure in your business. You hear this from Mr. Chen. Really, sustainability is not something in addition or something nice to have. It is fundamental in your business. And in Siemens, we make sustainability as a business, and sustainability as a business is our fundamental business logic to systematically integrate both sustainability-related business opportunities and risk into our decisions, strategies, portfolios, our processes, and our systems, and even people management. So entire, you can call it entire PLM, CRM, SEM, that in every single processes and activities, sustainability is integrated. And sustainability is also a mindset. You hear the same just now. So it's not one company, it's also not the management. It's for every employees that they also integrated into their daily work. So company can develop really activities to engage and reward the behaviors of our own people, but also our ecosystem. I also want to echo, Chen Long said, and I learned Ali had a lot of activity in these areas. I only know Ali Ant Forest, 蚂蚁森林, right? It's one of the good examples of using digital technology to scale up climate actions, and of course that we believe more people involved and more support, the more sustainability our world can be. And I'm really looking forward to have more learnings from many of the players and from all these collaborations to share, to exchange, and explore and develop our actions and tackle all these ESG challenges. So the whole ecosystem, as mentioned before.
Yes, government, companies like you, from you both, and also people, employees, ecosystems. Professor Chen, please.
Yeah, so for the major social challenges such as the climate change and the inequality is really beyond any individual institution, individual, or even a country to handle. So really, we have to team up, to do this. Everybody should try what they can. Every stakeholder. Now here, I think there's a top-down approach and a bottom-up approach. So it's great for the government to set up the guidelines, to make the efforts to coordinate resources to deal with that. But equally important is a bottom-up approach, because unless the majority of the companies, the employees, who are also the consumers, if they actually are aware of and they can participate in this process, it's impossible to deal with the problem. So companies, I think, can do a lot with this bottom-up approach. Now let's talk about the environmental climate change. Here, if we look at how we define the carbon emissions, we have the scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3. Scope 1, it refers to your company's own operations, and scope 2 refers to when you use, for example, electricity. If that electricity was produced without clean energy, then that's a problem. That increase the carbon emission. And also the scope 3 involves the carbon emission because you use products from your value chains from other companies. Now, if you look at this carefully, you can see that they overlap with each other. Because let's say I'm using the electricity from another company, but that electricity is not produced from the clean energy. But then that carbon emission is scope 1 from the electricity production company. So you can see that, and my value chain's carbon emission is actually scope 1 or 2 from other companies. You can see that actually, so those definitions are actually overlapping. So the question then is, why do you count them, double counting them or triple counting them? I think the basic principle is, I call this the impact principle. Every company should try all they can, whatever impact they can they can effect on themselves, on their partners, on the value chains, and on the consumers. Anything you can to help, And based on that, I can give you one example of what Alibaba does. Besides that, we commit the scope 1, 2, and 3, our own neutrality plans. I think we created a concept that's called scope 3+. That is we are going to help try to impact the companies and individuals on the platforms. They're not our scope 1 or 2 or 3, but we feel that we can have some impact on them, change consumers' behavior, help the companies on the platform to reduce carbon emission. And that really excites us if we can help the tens of millions of SMEs, more than 1 billion consumers to change their behavior, help them, enable them to do something. Then that is really beyond scope 1 or 2, 3 or 3, but this is our responsibility. I'm just giving a sense to see how companies should try all it can, and also excites our employees, everybody involved. We think this is something so meaningful to us. And just now, Ms. Ma just mentioned Armed Forest. Actually, back in 2016, actually, I still remember Armed Forest was created in my office. So I had a good memory of how that took place. And at that time, now it's becomes more urgent. So we feel there's a lot more we can do.
Yeah, so top-down approach and bottom-up. Top-down approach by regulation, rules, and laws, and bottom-up by companies themselves, consumers themselves. So I wonder, on the platforms you were talking about on Alibaba, are you enforcing these rules or making those mandatory?
Well, you can, I think probably both. And so just now I mentioned that one of the main pillars of to do ESG well is that we call this the stakeholder ecosystem. So And I think that companies are best at, because as the marketplace player, they know how to engage other people through their products, from services, a lot of things. So here, I think we can actually help. One good example is to build, let's say, a green product market. Obviously, and so that helps the producers, to find their demand. On the other hand, it finds the consumers who are particularly aware, who really want to enjoy green products, to find the sellers, producers. So you can see that unless you build such a bridge, then it's very hard for them separately to do anything. And so that's a very good example of, it's not really enforcing anything. You are really building a mechanism to make things happen. But some of the things, you make them as a requirement. You restrict things. You promote. You help the green products have a premium. We actually aligned with a lot of brands. Now, in this year, we came up with a host of the top consumer brands to have this green friendly action alliance. Which promotes things, and we really promote for all the products, starting from their design, then to the final usage. And so we promote all those things. We promote practice of the green logistic. We promote the marketing, all those things to help change consumers' mindset to do things. So a lot of things we can do. And I think the consumers love this. Not everybody will accept this beginning, but I think this that probably give a gist of it.
Yeah, that echoes to Qing's actually earlier comments about supply and demand alliance, right, through the market mechanisms. But another question is, one of the challenges for ESG, as some believe, is lack of unified standards, rating metrics, etc. in each of these three letters and all of them. Elon Musk just now, I think recently he was not happy after Tesla was removed from the S&P ESG list. So then what should be done, to end the debate or the controversies, to make ESG not a nice thing to have, just as Qing said, but a convincing, solid, invincible strategy. Maybe we start with Chen this time, Chenlong this time.
Okay, you caught me on guard. So I think it's true that there's no uniform standard. There's still controversy on the standards, but I think for the companies who care about the social responsibilities, they see this as a great mechanism, a channel, and to essentially for every company to grow, to have sustainability, it has to take into a consideration of its stakeholders' interest. But then it's very difficult to have a mechanism that they can actually measure their contribution, and they can actually continuously communicate with stakeholders. And I think that's the gist of the ESG. That's the best part of it. That is, we can continuously tell the society what we have done and how we plan to do things, and let the society to be our allies, to also monitor us, to be to try to be a good company. And so that's the gist of it. And regardless of the standards, I think this is a great mechanism for us to do. Now, I think we really should support this. But that being said, we agree that there should be more integrated consideration of what ESG standards, what's the nature of ESG, what is ESG spirit, and so how we should use that to communicate. Let me give you a couple of examples. One is that obviously we shouldn't use ESG as the so-called greenwashing. It's some companies that just think that, wow, this is an opportunity to branding my company, and beyond what you actually do. You really should commit it. This should become your long-term strategy. If you believe sustainability is the long-term strategy for a company, then that should become a core spirit of it. So you should believe it. And so I think the essence of ESG is really integrate that into your mission and position well, do well, measure well, and communicate well. So that's the sequence of things. So we shouldn't do that as just as the so-called PR or just that's bad. Another side is also bad is that it's just that it's almost like fundamentalism. It's just think from your own point of view to think about, wow, I do some country or some sector or some company do well, others do not, because the whole economy is the so-called the circular economy. So they actually contribute differently and so inevitably some of them will have higher carbon emission, some industries than some others. That does not mean they commit a sin. Let's think about the consumers in the advanced countries. Actually, they consume a lot of products that when they were produced, there will be carbon emission. So is that the sin of the consumer or is it the producer? I would think it's both, right? So that's from countries' point of view. You have to think about the emerging markets, developing countries. They have their own dilemma, the challenges. We have to help each other to solve the problem. And similarly, in the industries, for companies, some industries they emit the carbon more, some much less, because that's the nature of the industry. That doesn't make the ones that emit less better. What we really need to think about is that from their starting point, what is their commitment? Have they tried their best? And are they doing effectively? This is really the yardstick. I'm giving you a couple of examples to show that it's not surprising that the standard is not still converging yet. But I think I really endorse this ESG because this is really for companies to do well and to communicate with the society, to build trust. And that's the gist of it.
Do it well, communicate it well, educate the society, improve the standards. They will converge, but along the sides, it's not about the standards. It's about what you do. Or it's about how do you achieve ESG. Ms. Ma, anything to add?
Well, I may have a little different opinions. No, similar but different form. I think sustainability is a global topic. I think this is the only few remaining topics that no one disagree. That because the world is so separated, divided now. Yes. But this is the only topic that this need entire global efforts and joint force. And I think that because it also involves really a various of stakeholders. So we need to make guidance standards become more, having a guidance and standards. I think it's very important that serve a common languages for all the stakeholders to agree upon and as a joint direction to strive. But coming to what we can do as individuals, Alibaba already mentioned many, in the industrial world, like Siemens, our level at the company level, we also mentioned the whole sustainability. The key is technology, is innovation. So our technology, one example, the Say Green. I don't know if you know this product. So it is a product that we build up a trusted ecosystem, enhance carbon footprint, transparency via blockchain, because the technology blockchain you can't really change. So then also, via the cybersecurity technology. And in this way, we can make ESG really convincing, solid, and invisible, as what you said. So, the technology can help a lot. But again, it's a joint force. It's a game of the team, yes.
Very quickly, we've seen the geopolitics, the war in Europe, and this year, as both mentioned, as Jing mentioned, sometimes the disruptions in new energy output, right, from the drought. So there seems always a thing or a disruption or a sudden immediate emergency that slows down our carbon reduction, progress. How can we, set the long-term view without, always setting back? Yeah, just maybe just one or two sentences before closing. Ms. Ma.
Well, I think it won't really impact the importance of sustainability in the long run. And I think even more imperative, because it is clearly a topic that no one can disagree, as I said, right? As a global challenges we are facing, and we can only take joint action and collaborate globally. And I like very much, what Bilan Expo today is doing, really turn challenges into opportunity, and with all the stakeholders around the world, that we can really explore business opportunity and collaboratively to see how can we promote technology for good for the society. So it is really a mindset. It's a long-term, mindset. We have the technology with purpose as one of our core key strategic priorities. So, that's our response. That is the, technology with the purpose. What is the purpose? That is the purpose. The entire ESG is our purpose. So, so that's we will continue to strive.
Yeah. Chen.
Oh, yes. So all this crisis, it just reminds us how it indeed imperative that our efforts should be, and why sustainability is really a key issue that each individual companies should do, and that unites the whole society as a whole globally. And that we have no choice. But on the other hand, every company, they were born because of opportunities. Challenges means opportunities, because there's needs for solving the problems. So it is our obligation. It's also our great opportunity to leverage on the strengths of technological innovation to put the society challenges as a priority for the task for us to deal with, and to engage all the possible participants to solve the problems. And that's the way ahead.
Yeah. We still have 1 minute to go, but one last question for both of you. What's on your top of your wish list for ESG development, or the one or the key message you want to send to our audience? Just very quickly, 1 to 2 sentences. Ting, please.
Well, I repeatedly say that ESG should be and has to be the fundamental business rationale. And we can, the industry digitalization, innovation, and ecosystem, eco-partnership will be the engine to drive sustainability development. Again, it is a team game.
Yeah, great team game. Yeah, Professor Chen.
Yeah, so back in 1999, Alibaba was born, and at that time, we made the commitment we want Alibaba to live for at least 102 years, which means it will cover 3 centuries. We want to be a 100-year-old company. And recently, in our ESG reports, our CEO, our chairman CEO, Daniel, made it clear that ESG is the bridge to carry us over there. So ESG is the essence. It's really represents the long-term corporate spirit. It is the bridge to carry us, and that just shows how committed we are, and that is our priority. We want to make this into the actual strategy and implementable, and we want to see more results.
Yeah, with that, thank you so much, both speakers. We had an excellent discussion. Thank you again, Ms. Ma and Professor Chen, and see you next time. And thank you for our audience. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.